Kiwi Talkz is someone who knows people, talks to people, interviews people, and has said things on social media, deciding to open up this year. He was told it was probably a good idea to try to open up. I read that super long diatribe you put out there.
It was actually originally longer, and then I cut it down.
Hey, look, here's the thing. It didn't bother me at all. That's literally my average Twitter post. That's why people yell at me on Twitter. But no, I think it's important in this chance to have you on that we talk, and we talk specifically about like something like Metroid Prime 4, since that's what you keep getting headlined for all the time on all the websites.
I know, all the time. Anything I post, it just seems to become a thing. I don't even know why, because I used to be able to post about it and it would be fine, but there was some sort of tipping point somewhere where that was no longer possible and everything became a headline.
Maybe the fact they had it in the Switch 2 Direct. I have no idea. Like people that I expected.
I think, I think that's where it happened. Because I was away for a day, like doing some water sports, and so I posted something, came back to it, and like within 24 hours, it had already spiraled into something I had no control over. and then I think ever since then, it's kind of just kept going. In fact, gotten worse. So.
I've witnessed it too. I've seen everyone give you the title of known leaker or industry leaker, and then I see you repost and you're like, please do not call me this. This is not what I do.
I was just on the Metroid subreddit maybe a day or two ago, and like my name got mentioned, which is always weird, seeing my name get mentioned. But somebody was like, oh, who's Kiwi Talkz? And then someone posted underneath, oh, he's a leaker, known for leaking stuff about retro studios. And I was like,
yeah.
So it is what it is, though.
Yeah. So first, to throw at you for like questions or just statements or whatever. Obviously, there's been once the Kirby Air Riders Direct was even announced, a bunch of people on the internet freaking out. Where's Metroid? What's going on with Metroid? What the hell's happening with Metroid? It must be delayed. It has to be delayed. It literally must be 2020. Oh my gosh, Air Riders is now out in November. I thought maybe that would be Metroid slot. Metroid Prime is clearly not coming out this year. So that's the panic. That's the panic inducing out there. So what are your thoughts on, and I know you've talked about this before even this happened. What are your thoughts in general about like when the hell this game's coming out?
Yeah. Okay. Well, like part of the reason why I've been making these posts in the first place was to try and calm fears and like try and provide perspective on things, because it is a bit embarrassing seeing how Metroid fans act sometimes. Like this Kirby Direct was just ridiculous. Like it was like Tropical Freeze all over again. Do you remember when that trailer dropped and people were angry that it wasn't Metroid?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. So this is like an ongoing thing. Like I've been saying for a while, I don't think it's going to be delayed. It could possibly be. But people just need to just chill, man. It's okay. Like it's hit a few snags, but it doesn't mean that it's in development hell. It doesn't mean that there's all these issues. It doesn't mean that Retro's incompetent. It just means that they're just working through the final little bits just to make sure that it's perfect for release, because there's a lot riding on it, which Nintendo probably did to themselves by announcing it way too early. And then obviously it's like the Hollow Knight effect.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if they had just initially done what they did with Kirby, it would have been fine. Just announce it like in the Switch 2 Direct and then like have a Direct, and then it would have been fine. But I think to announce it and then, we're scrapping it and then providing all this weird marketing and stuff, I think that's contributed to the problem. My tweets, although I thought they would help, probably have made it worse. My bad.
I don't think anything can be done. I think we're just at a. I mean, in terms of like calming the storm, it is what it is.
Oh
like,
yeah, it is.
It's
like,
we can't stop it. We can throw, no matter what we throw at it, it just gets stronger.
Yeah, well, that's what it was. It felt like for me. I was like, I'll try and put out a fire here, and I end up creating like 5 more. And like, as much as I say, don't panic, people panic, and I'm like, oh, okay.
But you know what I think is interesting about this whole situation, because we were just talking about Silksong earlier. This might ultimately benefit Metroid. Because it's just getting more people, putting more eyes up. Like people, there's this expectation. It's a recurring talking point. It's almost like, and I don't know if this is on purpose, right? To your point, it may not be, but
I don't think it is.
But it reminds me a little bit of what happened with Tears of the Kingdom, because we had information on Tears of the Kingdom. We knew it was supposed to come out by a certain point. And Nintendo was extremely quiet on the game. We barely knew anything about it, and we were freaking out. People were thinking that something had to be wrong. And then once we got to the point where everyone thought it was too late, that's when they decided to blow the lids off the game. And that feels like, assuming Prime 4 is not delayed, which I think is highly unlikely at this stage of the year, that's what's about to happen. We're at a point where everyone's like in total shock that they haven't said anything yet. And now Nintendo's like, oh, you guys all gave up? Okay, here it is. Get excited.
Yeah, I think the difference is like between Prime entries, it's been like 18 years. Whereas with Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, it was what? How many years was it? 5? 6? Was it?
5
5?
years.
6? Yeah,
That's reason to be angry.
And Zelda at the height of its popularity as well.
Yeah,
you know, there's a level of mystique to Zelda that Metroid's just not going to have because it doesn't have the audience that it clearly deserves, but it doesn't have the audience for that yet, you know?
I like that use of yet. It's good.
I believe it has a lot of untapped potential, for sure. Whether Prime 4 is the one that breaks through to the mainstream, I don't know. I expected Metroid Prime Remastered to sell way more than it did. Mind you, they did shadow drop it at probably the worst time of the year as well, like when people don't have as much disposable income, which is usually January, February, because they spend it all during Christmas. So, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I still want to know what was the thinking behind the whole remaster thing. Was that just an experiment?
Well, no. The original plan was to remaster the whole trilogy. That was the original plan. And then when Retro ended up getting Prime 4, they could no longer remaster the whole trilogy. And then they only did the first one. But it was also to train them up and modernize their tools as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
and
sense.
then also, and also so they could have the ability to outsource. Because if you look at the credits in Metroid Prime Remastered, there's like 300, 400 plus people that worked on that. Crazy amount of people. So that was part of it as well. But yeah, things just ended up going in a different direction. And here we are.
I've got a question. This is one that's been on my brain since we first saw our first look really at the game. And granted, it's a very small vertical slice that we've seen of early in the game, with a little bit of details about some of the psychic abilities. And I think some people were met with some disappointment, thinking this just looks like Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3. Other people are like, those are, some of my favorite games, some of the most critically acclaimed games. And if it's just like Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3, that's totally fine. It's probably going to be one of the highest reviewed games of the year regardless. My question is that I've been wondering is this going to be that familiar, or is there something that really sets this one apart, again, outside of these psychic abilities that they've incorporated in the game? And I guess to tie into this question, like, is there going to be a wow factor that reinvents the wheel to agree? And also, like, I'm curious about the scope of this game. I, for one, and I might be in the minority on this, I've never wanted Metroid Prime to go fully open world. I love the brilliant level design of that Metroidvania style gameplay. That being said, I love the idea of incorporating both that Metroidvania with some larger scope, larger zones, unlike anything we've seen in the series before, but still creating that really amazing interconnected world. So I guess it's a scope question that I'm curious about, as well as is there something new and surprising about this entry that really sets itself apart from 1, 2, and 3? Those have been the two things that have been bouncing around in my brain. I'll be happy either way because I love Metroid Prime, and if it's just more of what we know and love already, that's already a win for me. But are you mocking
I'm
me,
looking at Prime, and he's just like, it's hard to concentrate because he's just.
Did you just
I'm looking
notice
at it too.
This just
Okay.
happened. The $50 super chat.
Oh, oh.
I thought maybe some news broke.
Let's get it now. Hey, well, it was a big thing. I don't get like big super chats like that often. It's on. It's fun.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Congrats.
Mr. Black. By the way, shout out to Mr. Black because he also did a $500 super chat yesterday.
Wow.
That's big.
That is insane. Thank you for the support, man.
That's really nice. All right. Anyway, to answer your question, people who are expecting Metroid Prime of the Wild need to lower their expectations because
Sure.
that is not.
I'm not
going
expecting
to
that.
happen.
Metroid Prime of the Kingdom?
Well, what I mean to say is you're not going to get an open world game at 60 frames per second with the geometric detail that Metroid Prime has. It's just
Sure.
not possible on Switch 1. If it was a Switch 2 exclusive, possibly, but it seems like Retro really want to push the 120 frames per second, which again, going open world would be very, very difficult to do.
Yeah.
With that being said, there will be more expansive areas. Like think of
cool.
Skytown in Prime 3, right? It's quite open. So
Sure.
you can expect more of that. And they are still
Huge win.
keeping their cards close to their chest.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah,
I'm happy to hear they're not making it Metroid Prime of the Wild. Again, that's never what I've wanted. I like that interconnected level design. So sounds like we might be getting exactly what I'm hoping, at least from a world design perspective.
I feel like I gotta
cool.
say something because
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
fairly certain this is my fault. Because all the years theorizing a Metroid Prime 4 with no gameplay, I definitely made a video saying Metroid Prime 4 is big Breath of the Wild moment. And then since then, I think people started kind of like attaching to that. But if you don't actually listen to what I say, Breath of the Wild, Metroid Prime's Breath of the Wild moment isn't becoming open world. It's just becoming that moment where the series reaches a new level.
Right, like more mainstream
Yeah.
and more popular, bigger sales, that sort of thing. Which
Yeah.
could well be the case. It really depends on how they market this thing over the next wee while. Because right now the marketing has been weird, very disjointed.
weird.
Yeah.
The narrative,
Absolutely.
the narrator with the "you can open doors," like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question that leads into actually all of that. This is something that I've been talking about for a very long time. Talked about it in your video game, Bert, as well. So I'm sure you know
Yeah.
where I'm going with this. And you touched on it a little bit earlier, but this is kind of how I'm looking at it. I want to set the stage for you. So Metroid Prime 2 and 3, right? These games came out a very long time ago, of course.
I think I
I
know
was
where you're
there to
going
play
with
them all when they all came out. 2 came out in 2004. 3 came out in 2007. 1 on GameCube, 1 on Wii. And of course, we have the Metroid Prime remastered, right? So coming out with a game like Metroid Prime 4 here in 2025, you gave Switch fans the opportunity to play the first one a couple of years ago. 2 and 3. And I've always kind of positioned it as it's really, I think it's a very hard sell to ask someone to watch the first movie and then ask them to watch the fourth one
Yeah.
and say, don't worry about parts 2 and 3. You'll be fine. Or if you really want to play it, you can track down the trilogy on Wii. It only goes for over at least $100 on eBay, and it's not HDMI. It's gonna be pretty blurry. It's not gonna take up your full screen, and if you don't have a retro tank, you're gonna have input lag too. Or you can try playing 2 on GameCube. Point is, it's not a good experience for someone to dive into it now. For us, it's fine, right? Because we've played these games, we have nostalgia for it. But to ask the current Switch owner to go track these games down so they can bridge the gap themselves, since Nintendo hasn't offered that yet, I don't think that's going to sit well, and I don't think that's going to help with the marketing. And I've long since said that I really believe 2 and 3 are going to come out. Now, will they be remastered? Don't know. We've always kind of said they were going to be just playable, right?
I can tell you right now, they will not be remastered. No way.
Yeah, like HD with mouse Joy-Con controls. Because I'll tell you, like I played it at the Switch 2 experience, and immediately after playing it, I just turned around while I'm playing it, said to my lady, I'm like, dude, they have to have these controls on Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3. They have to. They got to bring it over, because this is the best way to play this game. And even during the Wii generation, I'm not huge into the motion controls, right? Some games do it better than others, but I'm very traditionalist there. However, they really nailed it. And to me, this was the evolution of the Wiimote. And I think this is the best way to play. So that would be my question to you. What are your thoughts on those games coming over HD with mouse Joy-Con controls?
It's a possibility. I think a lot of the fixation on numbers, I don't think it actually matters that much. There's a lot of people that played GTA 5 without playing the previous GTA games. There's a lot of people that played Skyrim with never playing the previous Elder Scrolls games. Metroid Prime 4 is the start of a new trilogy. Like, you won't actually have to play the first 3 to enjoy it. With that being said, I've heard mixed things. Like, I have not heard anything about a remaster. I actually haven't even heard anything about HD ports, at least internally. So if they're being made, maybe like someone like Tantalus is possibly porting it. I did hear from a source, however, I'm not sure how, I suppose, verifiable they are. But apparently Nintendo were looking at the Metroid series and trying to understand why it doesn't sell as well as it does. And they came to the conclusion that part of it is because there's too long a gaps. They've had massive droughts, right?
Yes.
So there was the one between Super Metroid and Metroid Prime, and then again between, Metroid Other M and Federation Force. So that's a long duration of time where the franchise hasn't been in the spotlight. So I think the idea, if this is true, is that they're looking to release Metroid games more frequently, at least like one to every 2 years. So now, if you're taking that on board, then you would probably drip feed Prime 2 and 3 at a later date to fill in the gaps between Prime 5, if it does exist, and like the next 2D Metroid. And I also did hear as well that, and again, I'm not so sure on how accurate the source is, but I did hear like years ago that Samus Returns HD exists in some form.
That
but then it
one
was just
makes so much sense.
Yeah.
But then it was just radio silence. Then I heard
Wow.
nothing. So that was back in like late 22 or early 23. I heard about that. But it could well have been that Mercury Steam just did a port of it to Switch to kind of test how they were going to make Metroid Dread.
Sure.
And then
Just the framework.
yeah, just the framework of everything. And then I don't know, Samus Returns is just sitting somewhere. Yeah. So that's what I've heard. Like, obviously, if they do the whole Pikmin thing, I get it. There is a part of me that thinks there's some type of fatigue that can come with that, but then it did work for Pikmin. So I don't know. But I think expecting full-blown remasters, no way, man. Like, it would cost so much money, especially with Prime 2, because you can't reuse assets because you've got the Light World and the Dark World. And one of the devs that I spoke to last year, Kynan Pearson, he worked at Bluepoint. He worked on a lot of the remasters of those old games. And a project like Prime 2, you'd basically, the artwork would have to be done twice because you'd have to do the Light World and the Dark World as well. So that essentially like doubles the work because you can't reuse it.
Right.
Yeah, and they'd probably want to fix the Dark World, like in terms of how it looks as well, because in the original it's just purple world. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually,
that's
this is
very
a separate
insightful.
question.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, that
you
was
may
a
have
great-
covered it in one of your interviews, actually, but in Prime 1 Remastered, there are areas that are very dark. And I remember in the original, they weren't as dark, and you could light the way with your arm cannon, but because it doesn't work quite the same way in the remaster. If you don't, you're kind of like you have to use X-ray visor, or you're just running randomly in the dark in remaster. So I feel like that's some people don't like that choice as much, and I'm just kind of curious if you've heard any thought process behind that.
yeah, it just comes down to hardware. When they built the Prime games, they built it around the hardware, and the way the hardware worked with the GameCube, they could basically do it, and it wouldn't do anything to performance. But because of the hardware within the Switch, and you see it even with Switch 2, right? There's no lighting when you're shooting anything. It's just because of the hardware that it's difficult to pull off without tanking the performance. I
mean, I've seen like lighting, like the blast shots of them. They approach the enemies, like you'll see, like
there's
flashes.
some, but it's not to the same degree as the original.
Sure,
right?
I mean maybe it was unrealistic from the originals. We noticed it though.
Yeah, and but that's what I've heard from
Okay.
one of the devs that worked on the original, and
Yeah.
so that's
Okay.
why that's
One
a
little
thing.
thing I want to screen something real quick. It's super simple, but it just kind of speaks to the point that was just being discussed. If I could let it be shown for a brief moment.
Sure.
It's just a Prime 4 logo. I just wanted to show it because the 4 is very small. Like
Mhm.
you could just think of this as Metroid Prime Beyond. I just think that's worth noting, right? Because like if you really harp on the 4 aspect, some people might be like, well, I haven't played the others, but I think that's not that important. Anyways, that's pretty much it for that. Nate, feel free to do another dance for that.
He's on the
Yeah.
whole crew, so it's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
I have a question. So I know like the last Prime we got was back in 2007 with Prime 3. So the land of the first person shooter has changed substantially in that time frame. One thing that I've always spoke about when it comes down to Metroid is the ratings, always fantastic. The games always look, and people tend to love it very much so. But even with some of my podcast mates, they'll get into the lore heavily, but a lot of people won't know what they're speaking of because of the scanning mechanic, opposed to that most games now it's in the story element. So what I'm getting at with this game, where I feel like sales wise, what would help it, and I'm curious on your thoughts, is if one, we can get into those story elements with Metroid Prime 4 to where it's more obvious. Of course, we'll still have the scan piece to it, to where the story is more in your face, because we're in this space now to where it's, hey, go to this destination here, and telling you how to get there. And most people don't really want to work for the lore. And then also, will a multiplayer aspect come back to Metroid to where that's where first person really thrives, if you will, when it comes down to those games being evergreen and getting those bigger sales, because it has to have some life to it. Because once single player is done, you kind of put it down. And that's where multiplayer really shines when it comes to first person.
They were kind of going in that route a little bit with Prime 3. It was a bit more in your face. It was a bit more cinematic. When you start adding more cinematics to a game, it does balloon the budget quite quickly.
Of course.
And scanning was something that Japan implemented. They're the ones that came up with the idea. Like, you got to think of the Metroid Prime games as really much a fusion of Eastern and Western game design. So I imagine scanning will still be heavily part of the DNA of those games. Cinematics will probably be there. I mean, it's pretty evident from the demo, and I mean, you've seen the intro, the opening, opening cutscene. That's like incredible. It's like the best Nintendo cutscene I've ever seen in terms of like the graphical fidelity and everything.
For
So
sure.
I think Retro will be pushing a bit of that, but at the end of the day, like that's Tanabe's call.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of Metroid fans complained about Prime 3 because it was too linear and too in your face, I think.
Okay.
So whether they go down that road, I'm not sure. In terms of multiplayer, that's a big call because there's only like 150 devs that work at Retro. And so if multiplayer was to be implemented, I don't think they could do it in-house, at least alone. They'd have to get external studios to help out, which is maybe why they tested that with Prime Remastered. I think multiplayer would do a lot for the franchise, but I'm not entirely convinced that multiplayer is in Prime 4. I haven't heard anything, but I think it's always been its strongest when it's first play, like the single player, right? I mean, Metroid Prime 2 actually started off as a multiplayer game,
right,
and then it became single player. And I think that's part of the reason why Prime 2 suffers a little bit. They didn't have the time because they spent like a good 6 months just doing the multiplayer. Because in the final release, they just tacked on the multiplayer.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's hard to say. I don't think so personally, but it is possible.
Yeah, I think that would be, especially when we're talking about game chat and game share. That's what Nintendo's pushing at this point, and to have that matching with the first person shooters nowadays, yeah, I think that'll be great for Metroid. But to your point, that would balloon cost, and they would have to have the time for it.
Idea.
Yeah.
They go the Soulsborne route. Because Samus has psychic powers, she can receive telepathic messages, which is the canon way to explain that similar sort of messaging system we see in the Soulsborne games, or also like in Wind Waker HD.
Oh yeah, bring Tingle. I'd be down for that. Tingle shows up with some notes in a bottle.
But I mean, but the thing is, though, it gets interesting because you could even introduce a PvP element, right? So another player can show up in your game as a ghost, right? You think about like Chozo ghosts or whatever the ghosts would be in Prime 4, and that wouldn't be a whole dedicated mode. It would simply be an extra element into Prime 4. And I mean, the thing is, Metroid games and Soulsborne games have a very there's similarities there. Like it could function very similarly, and it could fit within, the way I described it would fit within the world. It wouldn't break away from your immersion. And of course, it still would be optional, right? You can turn that off. But it might be pretty cool to be exploring around, and then you hear like some sort of like they'll have some sort of notification of it, right? Maybe some sort of like eerie music, which means you're being hunted.
Right. That would be interesting. I mean, it worked in like you said, the Soulsborne, of whether it was people trolling you when you ran into it, or just giving you valuable information.
You never know.
Going into different traps. Yeah.
I got a question, Kiwi. This is a simple. I'm going to keep it simple for you. This is an easy yes or no. No need to think too hard on it. Is Ridley back? I think a lot of us want to know if Ridley's back.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I'd assume he is.
Okay.
Retro love Ridley, so I would imagine he's back. And lore-wise, it fits. Like it's not like Metroid Dread where people are like, "Where's Ridley?" And I'm like, "Dude, he's dead, man."
Several times.
Yeah, but lore-wise, like he died. Fusion, that was like the last one where he fully died. Yeah. So yeah, I think he'll be back. I think they'll find a cool way to implement him.
I was going to make that the very last question before you bounce, but I don't know how much time you have left. But I just want to make sure.
I probably do like 5-10 more minutes. Yeah.
All right. I got a quick question. Since you're the Bethesda guy, right? You're still the Bethesda guy?
I'm multiple guys, apparently.
Don't pigeonhole him. Come on.
No, I know. No, it was about a tweet he had. But Fallout, right? This is something I've talked about a lot about the TV show and the success of it. And that was why they made a point to get the Fallout 4 PS5 SKU. you know, the upgrade running smoothly on PlayStation. So fans have a recent game, right, to play on their PlayStation 5 because of the success of the show. And obviously season 2 is coming out. And one thing that I've been talking about a lot is, you know, from what I had heard, they really would have liked to have gotten Fallout 4 running on Switch 1, but that just wasn't in the cards, obviously. What about Switch 2?
Yeah. Without going into too much detail, there is something Fallout related coming. I'm not going to tell you whether it's 4. I'm not going to tell you whether it's Fallout 3 remastered or New Vegas remastered. I will just say there is something Fallout related coming.
So one of those.
You got me happy because we've been talking about all 3 of those, and I'm a big fan. I think it would be such a great fit, of course, on Switch to be able to play that on the go. So,
well,
yeah,
what
I'm not going to press you on it.
I would love to see like Samus armor in Fallout, right? They did the whole like Link thing with Skyrim.
Skyrim,
Yeah.
So doing Fallout and have like Samus armor or the ability
my God,
to go
that
into
would be so cool.
or
Samus is a
something.
bounty hunter.
Yeah. Like
Makes
you could
sense.
easily do it. So, and I know
That'd be
Todd
so
Howard
rad.
is a big Nintendo fan. I've seen him on record confirm that he thinks Nintendo are the best, like design.
Yeah, I feel like I
period.
remember some
Awesome.
quotes from Todd Howard when Switch 1, I think before it got revealed, when he said that he's seen Nintendo's next hardware and he's a huge fan of it. You know, the whole concept around it, that he loves it.
Yeah, I think I
I've
remember him
heard
saying
give
that
mention
it was the best presentation he'd ever seen for a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I ever get to interview him, I'll ask him, but I'll cross that path when I come to it. I could probably answer like one more question and then I'll have to bounce, unfortunately.
Do you still stand by Desert Theory for Prime 4? That key art? Think it means something?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that will be the mic drop moment. Like in every Metroid Prime game, they have like a specific biome that's like the mic drop moment, right? Finjana Drifts in the first one, Sanctuary Fortress in the second one, Skytown in the third one. I think the desert one will be the one that kind of showcases the more expansive area.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a thing where I'm just tell me if you gotta go, right? But just like kind of continuing down that train of thought, I've had that kind of this like thinking, and I've talked about a few of my videos that I feel like Nintendo has shown very little of Prime 4, and it's actually been somewhat similar to how they handled Bonanza before the Bonanza Direct, where Bonanza had 2 tree houses. They showed Ingot Isle and they showed Lagoon Lair, the first 2 areas of the game. And with Prime 4, what they've shown is the first few minutes and then presumably the opening moments of Euros. So basically the first 2 areas of the game. Like that's kind of how I've been looking at it, right? And so when you talk about maybe the mic drop moment, you know, that's an after, you know, that's something we see like in a Metroid Direct or that release date trailer thing. Like we're not there yet.
Yeah, totally. Like I know there's some stuff in the game that has not been announced yet. That's why I know they're keeping their cards close to their chest. There's like heaps of stuff that they haven't shown off. Like they've just been teasing little things. I'm not absolutely sure as to why, but there will be a blowout at some point, and you'll get the full context of the game. Yeah,
Looking forward to it.
Mm.
When do we think it's coming out?
I think early November, personally.
Okay.
The art book comes out October 28th.
Yeah.
October 30th is 2 weeks removed from Pokemon. Halloween's a popular time, and then if it's not then, like November 6th would probably be the most realistic time, because you would assume they would want to have like at least like a 2-week gap before
Yeah.
Pokemon.
I mean,
Yeah.
originally I thought it would be late November, but then Kirby Air Riders has taken that spot. But I will say that like Metroid hits a completely different demographic to both Pokemon and Kirby. And
yeah.
And the thing is, like, the demographic in general with Metroid is very different to, I suppose, the demographic for most other games that Nintendo makes. One of the retro developers said to me that like it's viewed by Nintendo as more adult oriented or more of a mature audience. So my thinking is because the Nintendo Switch, the audience because you've probably seen the data that they've shown in like some of their updates and stuff, what the demographics are in terms of the age bracket, and there's a lot of people in their 30s that actually have a Switch 1, and like I think Metroid basically targets that demographic. So I think that plus the fact that it's releasing on Switch 1, I think early November. Release date out is the most likely.
I think December should be on the table.
Yeah,
I want A, but I'll say C.
I think C. December could be possible, but like that's usually after Black Friday and like
yeah. You want to get Prime out before that. You want to give it the best chance from.
I think that's a Hyrule spot. Hyrule for sure. For that
yeah. It's just for me. It's just like it has to be October 30th or November 6th or it's December. Like it's too late.
It's 2026. They delay it to Q1, and then Metroid fans have a bigger meltdown.
Can I know you got to go. Can I ask a really quick question? You can make it like one sentence and bounce if you have to. From what you know, how make or break for the Prime, not Metroid series, but for the Prime series is Prime 4? Because this is one that's been in development for so long. It's obviously this game's cost a lot of money to get made.
Well, I think it would have to like at least do reasonably well. If it was a complete flop, I think Nintendo would weigh up things heavily. And actually, to your point, and I just want to say something to Metroid fans who've been like having meltdowns and attacking Kirby fans and stuff. You have to remember that if Metroid was with any other publisher, Metroid as a series would have been dead a long time ago.
Yep.
They don't make the game specifically just for sales. They do it because it reaches a different demographic than their normal audience. The whole point is to try and get people to buy into their ecosystem. So by offering something that's different, to say a Kirby or a Mario, is incredibly important to them. And so that's something that they do consider, and they do want as many people in their ecosystem as possible, and Metroid represents that to a T. So yes, but it is a very, very expensive game. I highly advise people to buy it. If you want to see the Metroid franchise continue, please buy it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Prime 4's game I would double dip, by the way.
Double dip?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. Well, hey, I got to gap it, but this has been fun. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kiwi.
Thank you.
We
Subscribe to Kiwi Talkz.
Spend the whole show and answer the questions.
Yeah. So, and just to give you a heads up, just before I go, I'm planning on doing a review of Donkey Kong Bonanza with some of the original devs that worked on Returns and Tropical Freeze.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I might be doing that. Well, I was supposed to do it this month, but because they haven't finished the game yet, and some of them are at Gamescom, it'll probably happen next month or early next month. And I was supposed to interview one of the devs that worked on Prime 3 and Returns and Tropical Freeze as well. But he was in a car crash and broke his leg. So that's been postponed until he's better. But yeah. So that's some stuff that I have in the pipeline. But yeah.
Awesome. Go check out his channel. It is linked down in the description.
Cool. All right.
Thanks again.
Thanks again.
Talk to you soon.
That was fun. That was really fun.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know that it could be anything other than fun. Unless he just gave a lot of negative answers. Like, fuck you now. Yeah, no, it's 2027.
That's good.
So do you guys think that Prime 4 coming out in December would hurt its sales?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Probably.
Everyone buys
it's
their
missing
stuff.
that holiday rush, and this is a game that just needs it so bad.
There are some games that are immune to it. Like if Mario Kart was December, it'd be fine. 3D Mario, 3D
Smash
Zelda,
Bros.
Smash Bros. Proved
Already
it.
seen it done.
Well, Xenoblade 2 came out December, and Xenoblade probably has a weaker sales potential than Metroid, and it still found a way to become the best of the
I don't think
Xenoblade
it would
series.
kill it. I think it would do better
Yeah.
out of the gate if it was positioned not in December. But I don't
I
think
think-
December would bury it.
I think the costly and prolonged development cycle would really begs that it comes out at an ideal time frame to launch a game.
Also, even though Metroid Dread was amazing and it's like the best selling Metroid ever, Metroid has yet to prove it can be evergreen.
Mm-hmm.
So like it pretty much gets all its sales in that initial pop. So
Bro, I just think Prime 4 is coming out Halloween. Like, it just makes way too much sense.
well, you made that pretty obvious. What do you? How about end of October? A good time right before Halloween.
It makes the most sense. The most sense. Like, you're gonna get people buying it for Halloween, right? You have the art book literally coming out that week, right? Like, why is the art book coming out that week? Unless we're getting Prime 2 and 3. But you know what? I don't even care about 2 and 3 at this point. I just want Prime 4.
Right. Which I
So-
mean, you're right. I mean, because I didn't know about the art book, but then you also line it up for Black Friday. Then you also line it up for the Game Awards. So it has plenty of attention on it if it comes out in
Right.
October.
That'd be sick.
And then
That
it comes
art
out in
book's been a
December.
moving target, though.
Yeah.
You know, it's-
Well, that's the interesting thing, though. It was initially slated for June.
Yeah.
And well, we've even Kiwi has speculated doesn't know for sure, right, that it was initially supposed to come out in the summer, right, and maybe change positions with Bonanza, because of the supposed development snag. So why did they move up that art book? Why do you delay an art book? Like,
True.
what about an
Oh,
art
I
book is like,
completely agree.
so
That- Yeah, for me, when I saw that the art book got moved to that date, that was where my mind went too. Is that okay? Like the art book's been done. They're not waiting to print the pages. You know what I mean? Like that's a moving target that's part of the promotional cycle. So wherever that goes is where Prime 4 is going, in my opinion. And so I'm excited that it is coming out so soon. Do we get it a week before, like you guys were mentioning, and it comes out, Prime 4 comes out on the 6th? Or do you really think we're going to get Prime 4 in October? Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD comes out on the 30th. Mina the Hollow World comes out on the 31st. Right? As long as Metroid's not out, I'm 100% playing those games on those days. I'm really excited for them. But that'd be interesting if
me out.
they all want to come out at the same time.
Hear me out though. Like going
Let's
back to that, I want to go back to the idea of like if they integrated like a Soulsborne like ghost hunter mechanic, that adds another fear factor to the game where if you're being hunted.
Yeah.
Comes out on Halloween. Like, come on. I mean, literally the little elder that Samus is like speaking to is a ghost. Like, It could easily fit that.
Hunted as in like Resident Evil 2 and like Nemesis hunted, where like you're being chased by a ghost throughout the game.
The idea is a PvP thing, where people enter. But I mean, either or would be cool. I would be down for that. If the Resident Evil 2 thing was awesome.
I mean,
Yeah,
we've gotten that in Metroid before. We had it in Fusion.
Oh,
Fusion.
I mean,
And we had it in Dread.
Yeah,
and it's a fantastic mechanic that I thoroughly enjoyed in both games, and we've never seen anything like that in a Prime game, whether or not it's a multiplayer thing or just like part of the game story. Like me coming, like I'm primarily a single player gamer. So for me, like having that sort of like the hunter and the hunted mechanic in Prime 4 is super exciting. Like that would be really, really cool. That would be a new element, that changes up the 3D gameplay.
Yo, what if like Silex, like he looks like Silex in the beginning, but something bad happens to him, so he's like deranged morph, right? And he's like chasing you, And so like you kind of like, if you don't know why he's chasing you though, right? Like maybe there is like some story there, but you don't find out. You just think he's trying to kill you. Maybe he is trying to kill you at first, and if you get caught, well, you die, right? But like that they could do something like that, or there could maybe be like a monster Metroid that's at like this. I guess the thing is, maybe you do that. The problem with that is that you're making Samus out to be vulnerable, and she is vulnerable against the Emmy for most in Dread, right? But I don't know if they want to overdo that either, so that's just something to consider. But it definitely it adds to the anxiety.
Even if it's one sequence in the story that could be really cool, I think I automatically think of, I don't know if anyone else has played Jedi Fallen Order. Am I okay to spoil that game? We're on a Nintendo podcast. I'm going to spoil Fallen Order. If you guys care about Jedi Fallen Order, plug your ears. Wait, do you care, Andres? I
haven't played it, but it's fine.
Okay.
I think it's coming to Switch too also.
I don't want to ruin it for you if you care.
What? He's Luke's father?
Honestly, do you care? I really don't want to.
No, it's fine. I probably not even know what you're talking about. So
okay, where there's this. Okay, I'll just say this. There's a sequence near the very end of the game where you run into a character, and the character is so powerful that engaging in combat is futile, and you have to run for your life. Essentially. It's just one sequence in the story, but it's one of my favorite parts in the games. I don't know.
Liar.
Whether it's yes or no, it could be Palpatine.
Liar.
It could be Boba Fett. Dude,
if you're not with me, you're against me.
I won't say.
That's where you're going.
I'm saving you from spoilers, but it's a really exciting sequence in the game, and I do like. Even if it's Silex is like super powered up in some part of the story, and you run in and you engage in combat, and you're like, oh shit, like that. There is like, I'm gonna get wrecked, and you have to make an escape, kind of like how in Metroid Prime 1 you have to escape that station as it's there's a countdown. That sort of stuff is fun. Get those anxiety-inducing moments where you're like, oh shit, and you're trying to like retrace your steps through the corridors, and stuff's coming apart, and you have to find the new paths that have opened up. That stuff's really exciting. So I'd love to see something like that in there. It'd be really cool. I do wish, and maybe this is a thing, but obviously with Metroid games, part of it is getting new power-ups along the way. I was really hoping that the counter system that was introduced in Returns and Dread would make its way into a Prime game. I just think that would be really fun when you have like space pirates all up on you, and you're able to do a quick counter and blast and do like a knockback attack to give yourself more distance between you and the enemy. I hope something like that makes an appearance. Prime 4 looks, slower, just like Prime 1, 2, and 3 are compared to most shooter games. So I think having at least a counter melee ability to add a little bit of the agility into the game would be really cool.
Not ruled out yet.
Not
Still
ruled
waiting
out
on that blowout.